Herb, we need to talk.
Uh-oh.
We need to talk about imaging.
Uh-oh,
Because-
that one.
Yeah. We don't, not everyone at the magazine agrees on every single point, do they?
In fact, actually, it's really interesting you mention it because I've known you a long time. We're really different on that topic.
We are,
And so
yeah.
is our mutual editor.
Yeah. Let's talk this out.
And I think
Let's
the
solve it all
readers
right
have
now.
an interesting, different view
Oh
even
yeah,
maybe as well.
absolutely. Yeah.
Now, you don't. It's not one of the things you emphasize when you're doing your reviews.
Right. Not at the top of my list.
You
Yeah.
go for dynamics, pace, momentum.
Yep.
What else?
I like a sense of drive. I like texture to the sound. I like good color saturation to the sound. I like presence. I like substance to the images. I don't really care where they are. And it's my thinking that if you really think about how a recording is made, you know, I don't want to tread on anybody's trademark, but there is an original sound in terms of tonal colors. There's an original sound in terms of timbral variations. There's an original sound in many respects. There's no such thing as an original sound stage. You might hear something that's convincing, but is that what's really in the recording, or has that been enhanced at some point, either in the recording stage or by the playback gear? I forget who it was, but somebody in the magazine recently made the point that if you isolate just the ambience, just the ambient content of a recording, and reverse the phase on it, or just change the phase on it, you can make something sound deeper or shallower than it really was. How do you know what you're hearing is correct?
But that one point where where my viewpoint changed was you always have to go back to the microphone. We were just listening in mono to records where there was one microphone.
Yeah.
And you know, three people walk up to a microphone. A couple of them are playing this, a couple are singing. And it's a different, whatever hi-fi you're listening to, especially these really like $1 million hi-fis, the first thing I want to feel the microphone.
Uh-huh.
And you should sense it. I mean, how could it not be in the listening experience?
Probably should be.
You know, it's not, oh, how big is the sound stage? How high is it? How accurate are the images within that sound? Where's the microphone? That's kind of why it's interesting to me, when it helps locate my brain. If I'm listening in stereo between two speakers, first of all, I see this image and it's superimposed over my equipment rack. And I'm like, what the hell is this? My hard drive starts skipping. I want to know what am I supposed to think? Just now I'm looking between your speakers into open air.
Yeah.
And the whole record, you know, I could hear the floors.
Yep.
I could feel the height of the ceiling. I could feel the castanets. And the feel of it. Now, I'm with you on texture and all that. But, I like to just know where. I want to know if Hank Williams is moving back and forth. Anyhow.
Okay. So yours is, you know, fidelity to what the microphone got, and that spatial aspect is part of that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Fair enough.
You know, there's a Gordon Holt thing where he tries all these different microphones.
Yeah.
And but they're all different, you know, patterns and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Well, one thing I would agree with your intent there, and I would almost argue against my point of view and say, on those recordings where there's movement, like those Kulshaw produced recordings of the Wagner Ring Cycle with Georg Scholti in the London Symphony Orchestra, they orchestrated that so you would hear performers move on the imaginary stage. I admit I'm impressed by that too. That's, you know.
When I used to do horns,
Yeah.
I always played big opera recordings because, one, the soundstage would go beyond the horns, really wide, and you could feel the microphones over the stage. I remember someone brought out Watt Puppies, and they played the same opera I had played, and I'm going, the whole stage was on a coffee table. This is gross distortion. The microphones were here. It should be a big stage.
It should be big and wide,
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. And I can think of a recording that does that, but that fakes it On Eno's first solo album, Here Come the Warm Jets, there's a song called Blank Frank. And Blank Frank is a song that has like 2 or 3 or 4 different, it's very episodic.
Right.
In the second or third episode in that song, it's sort of a shuffle beat. And Eno is like Sprechensang. He's like, speak singing. And there's one line, can you this or that? I never got a letter back. And on one of those, they obviously take those backing vocals. They were isolated on one track, and they throw it out of phase. So that one sounds like it's coming from way to the left of the left speaker, and the other one sounds like it's coming from way to the right of the right speaker. It's fake. It didn't happen in real life, but it's there in the recording, and I admit I'm impressed when I hear Hi-Fi Gear nail that.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Even
cool.
though I might want to reverse my speaker cables when I hear that.
That's right. Yeah.
Just to see if it's me or the recording.
It almost hurts. You know how when you've got that messed up, if you have the absolute phase between your 2 speakers messed up, it almost hurts your ears to listen to that. It's almost physically painful.
But what about pop records? Where it's like
Well, it's all
they're
fake.
dialing it in,
Yeah.
we'll put this over here, we're going to put this over here, and the drum has to be that far back.
It's almost it's an annoyance to me. It's a distraction to me.
That's kind of my take.
Yeah.
It's why when I review, I kind of go for field recordings, because it's, you
Yeah.
set up the mic and everybody just, sort of like,
You listen to the recordings that became the Sun Sessions by Elvis from Sun Studios. That's one mic. It's one microphone, and they're getting everything. There's no drumming on the first few tracks. There was no DJ Fontana.
Right.
It was just Bill Black and Scotty Moore and Elvis. And with the bass, he was doing the slap bass. So he'd pluck the string and then slap it immediately after on the downbeat. So there was your percussion, no drums, but that microphone caught the ambience of that. You got an idea of the size of the room, but you also got the intensity of the performers. Again, I don't care where they are. I just want to know they're there, that there's substance. You can feel, you can feel them. You can feel the room. That's important to me.
I love those recordings. I've actually heard them on some killer systems.
Oh, yeah?
And they're just, they're breathtaking.
Yeah, it's
Just for
brilliant
that,
stuff.
the size of the room is in there. One mic does really well.
It does really, really, really well.
It's hard to fault it other than, the producer doesn't get to be creative.
Yeah, to this day, I mean, if you go see someone like the Top Line, I know I'm a bluegrass nut, but if you go to a bluegrass festival and see someone like the Del McCoury Band, they might have a little touch-up mic on the guitar, because the guitar is so bad at projecting, and it feeds back a lot.
Right.
So you might have one touch-up mic there, but everything else is around one Audio-Technica omnidirectional microphone, and they kill it.
We were just listening to solo guitar between your flamencos.
Yeah,
And I remember thinking, I struggle with solo guitar and headphones because of my microphone. The one problem with my microphone theory is if you listen on headphones, all of a sudden your face is in the piano or it's in front of there.
Yeah.
And the guitar sounded perfect, and it occurred to me, okay, so the mic is close to the guitar, but when it's between 2 speakers, it adds presence.
Yeah, it does.
And I think audiophiles like that. I know I do.
I do, yeah.
And it was just such a beautiful recording on that.
It gives you the idea. Yeah, it's to hear a well-made recording like that on decent gear, whether or not the whole thing is being perfect to exactly the information, exactly the signal that's on the recording or not, it gives you the feel, it gives you the right idea. So is that a distortion?
It's what you're after.
It's what you're after.
This morning, and I have to say this, I woke up, it's very early, Art sitting in his chair, in his listening chair, and he's playing his guitar.
Oh, yeah.
And I laid on the floor in front of him, and he's playing, and there were all these little, really subtle touches, especially at the end. And I remember thinking, it's horrible, now you know you're an audio nerd, where would I put the microphone?
Yeah.
And then I laid my head down on the actual floor, and the tone character changed, but in some ways it was even better.
Huh.
And you're just playing a guitar, and you're about 5 feet away at the most. I remember thinking, I felt like David Chesky, how would I capture this? And still have presence, but still have the art intimacy, the beauty. I wanted to feel the fingers,
Yeah.
but I didn't want my face.
Yeah. You don't
It was
want to,
beautiful.
You don't want to be like you're a dust mite inside the guitar.
Right.
I don't want to be a dust mite. I really don't. But that's why I admire the skill, the craft, and even the artistry of somebody like David Chesky, or any of the great recordists throughout history. You know, Rudy Van Gelder, who just passed away not long ago. Any of them. How did they determine that? How did they figure it out? Was it trial and error? Maybe it was at first, and then they would just get a feel for, here's how to mic this. But I wouldn't have the first idea.
I'm guessing the producers came in and had a couple of words to say about that, sort of, like editors.
Yeah. Oh, speak to me now of editors.